I quoted last week a poem, and I thought I want to bring that and share it with you. It's a very brief, modern style poem, really. It's by Khalil Gibran. And he says, and here it is, Safir wala tukhbir ahadan. Now, he is considered one of the most popular modern Arabic poets, and some of his poems have been sung. And he, believe he was, I believe he, I believe he was from Egypt, but he spent much of his time traveling. He was in um, America. He went to Europe, to France, and he travels about, and he has all these kind of letters that he writes back and forth to many of his to many of his darling dears. Who I think at least in his letters there's at least 12 different women he's writing to. Legends. Khalil Gibran. But he's an incredible poet, and and some of his poems have been translated. So, and his Arabic, he doesn't follow. I think some might, but generally he's it's more modern poetry that isn't so restrained to the the metric system. So it doesn't have the meters, and he's just saying it's poetic in its style. It's not like classical poetry. But I wanted to share this, that سافر ولا تخبر أحدا, that travel and don't tell anyone, don't tell anybody. النادية, there's no one, that just go. I'm not saying be irresponsible. Sure, you may tell certain people, but what this means in our day and age, what is this talking about? In our day and age, I don't mean by this you don't tell anyone, your family doesn't necessarily know where you're gone. That would just be, that's not necessarily the most responsible of choices. But what this means is more about that travel, and don't worry about having to advertise it all on social media. Don't worry about the world having to know that you have these beautiful photographs or these. And sure, maybe you do have photographs, maybe you do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's not about that. Okay, it's not about it's not about showing. It's about safir wala tukhbir ahad. Don't tell anyone. عيش قصة حب صادقة ولا تخبر أحدا. That live a love story. He says a real, a truthful صادقة. قصة حب. Live a love story. Live it out. In truth. One of truth. ولا تخبر أحدا. And don't tell anyone. إيش, that عيش سعيدا, that live happily, live with happiness. Geo, smile, let the world smile right back at you. That live, سعيد is happy, سعيدا ولا تخبر أحدا. Yet, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. If you're happy, that is a blessing from Allah. Don't feel that you have to keep blasting to the world that you are so happy. That, hey, I'm always doing the, hey, I'm always. Don't worry about that. You see, if you're happy, it will radiate from you. People will know that you are happy. It's not about people knowing, it's about you will ooze this vibe, positivity. But عيش سعيدا ولا تخبر أحدا. Don't tell anybody. الناس يفسدون الأشياء الجميلة. That people, they have a way of ruining beautiful things. Honestly, this poem is so profound. I would really say that if you can seek an inspiration from this for our contemporary lives, especially lives that have become enveloped and engulfed by the online phenomenon. تسافر ولا تخبر أحدا، عيش قصة حب صادقة ولا تخبر أحدا، عيش سعيدا ولا تخبر أحدا، الناس يفسدون الأشياء الجميلة. That this is something to think about, that people have a way of ruining. They ruin beautiful things. And in some ways, I guess people in the past may see this as the evil eye, but it's not. You see, it's not about in that folkloric sense, but people do have a certain vibe. They have a certain negativity that they can bring to the table, and it can ruin a lot of things. So I wanted to share that with us because I thought that seriously, I just find this poem so, um, you know, like a mantra that that we just have to keep reminding ourselves that it's okay to live it, and you don't need to keep showing it to the world. Envy, yes, of course, that's because people have, there is an envy, and it's not a, I don't say this in a way to blame people. I don't say this that people, I'm not saying this in a sense that people are evil and ha ha ha, don't share things with people are just haters and people are, I'm not saying it from that perspective. You see, you have to understand people's struggles. It hurts people as well. Sometimes people don't even want to be envious, but they can't help being envious. If you're living a miserable life and everything's falling to pieces, and let's say your relationships have broken down and you've been sacked from work and or your business has flopped, and maybe your kids don't talk to you, or maybe you're having major health problems, and let's say something like that is happening, and is somebody just, oh, I'm having the time of my life, oh, I'm in my, in Dubai, oh, I'm over here just shopping with this person, oh, I'm just buying all these brand new stuff, oh, I'm in a private jet, oh, I'm just by the beach, oh, and that's all they post. Nobody wakes up and posts, hey, I feel like crap today. Nobody posts things like, I mean, maybe some people do, but these kind of people don't. They don't post themselves looking terrible. They post themselves looking brilliant, amazing, next to perfect, picture perfect. And then they'll put filters and add extra, tonalities of perfection. So, and you're looking at that, naturally you will, because you're fighting a difficult battle. People can't help but feel envious. It's not because they are bad people. It's just that they're struggling. Like everybody, even the person in this story, let's say, that is posting all these things, their life isn't that good. It isn't as good, not a fraction as good as they are portraying to people. There's just filters and things are, they're not that happy, because the fact that they're posting that is a sign that they need people that regularly do this. I don't mean just maybe somebody does it as a one off, but it's a sign that they require validation, and that validation brings them some happiness. So yeah, that's the angle I'm coming from, not the, it's not about, don't look at people with a faulting eye or a glance. Look at them in understanding that people are struggling. That you are happy, but your happiness is inconsiderate to my misery complex. Um, sure, I mean, I get that, but also it's, yeah, and it does, and sure, and you will get also, I'm not saying you won't get horrible people as well. You will get horrible people. We were speaking on our kind of Patreon meetup yesterday, that yesterday, day before. But anyway, so that look, you, there is there's a strange phenomenon with the online world, that people online, there is a Jekyll and Hyde effect, that people, you'll get people that will, I mean, you get, okay, so you get the keyboard warrior type who will go online and say horrible things, and maybe they won't say them in real life to put to someone, because it would have consequences. Like if you go to someone and say something, well, they might smack you. So there's real life consequences. Well, I can't do it in person, so I'll do it online. Okay, now that, as cowardly as it may be or whatever, but it's understandable, as in people, we can rationalize their rationale. We understand why these people are doing that. Well, why don't they do it in real life? Well, because they're going to get beaten or they're going to get attacked. Okay, put those, I'm not talking about these people. There's another phenomenon online, and that is people who generally are actually quite decent people. They, they're not actually people that are evil. Like if they saw something, they would not, let's say they saw something happening in real life, they would not be, if it was bad, they would not be happy about that. They would not be, these things would distress them if they saw an accident, if they saw something. But yet, when given the cloak of anonymity online, they become incredibly nasty. And what's that all about? You see, because they become something that they themselves are not in real life. It's not about that they are afraid, they themselves are not even like that. And that's just madness, honestly. That is, wow. It's, I guess in some ways it's power, but, the power of anonymity being invisible. Yeah, so I think, yeah, it's a medium to vent. I get that, but you also get people. So you get that medium to vent thing, but you'll get people. So, for example, there's a let's say there's an accident or there's an incident. Let's say there's an incident going. Um, I'll give you an example. I saw, there was a clip. It was it was an American clip. Um, some people, there was some traffic. Oh no, there was some cars parked up, and there were some people outside of a car, young men, and this other car pulls up, and or these guys come, and they just pull out some shotguns, and they just start shooting these people, and they shoot one of them, and this is like, this is real, this is CCTV, it's not a movie. And they shoot them, and one tries to run, he gets shot, and then he gets shot again. And most likely these people die, or it seems like that, unless maybe somebody manages to save them after the clip. But it seems that, whoa, and it's just, and there isn't much context. Okay, they're young men. Maybe there's clearly there must have been some rivalry, but it's not obvious from the clip what's going on. Like it's not very clear that, let's say, they are gangsters or they are. It's not clear from the clip, from what you're just seeing of the people. So okay, now I remember just seeing this, like it came up on the newsfeed on one of these. You get these channels, and you go into the comments, and it's hilarious. Like people, I say hilarious in a shocking way. It's not hilarious. I mean, it's very unfortunate. Like you'll go into the comments, and people will be saying all kinds of things. Like they'll say, did you see how he was shaking whilst he's dying on the floor? The person would be, they're just saying all kinds of things. Did you see how his leg got blasted off? Did you see how? And I'm certain these very people would not, in real life, even if they don't know the person, condone, like they that would not be their reaction. It's just zero empathy. And that's the strange thing. So I'm not talking, like, in these incidents, people are not venting anything. They're just being cruel and nasty, but it's why, just because they can. It's as simple as that. It's not like it's not a rational thing. It's just people are doing it because they can. Yeah, it's a strange world. Strange. Right. So, okay, let's move on, people. I'll just bring up some of your comments. Right. So, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's not about, you see, people, there's studies actually done on this. You can't, I mean, psychologists don't clearly have the answer, but there's speculation. Why is this? What is this about? What motivates this kind of behavior? But this is a very new phenomenon that humanity is seeing. It didn't exist before, because this platform didn't exist like this, not for the common person. So now the common person can just become invisible, and they can, cloak and dagger, if you like, and then they can just go back to being a nice person. It's crazy. See, because in real life, you could be a very nice person. You could be somebody who smiles and does things polite, and yeah, well, it's I guess this is one way of viewing the concept of the Dajjal, I guess. One way is this illusory reality, that we are that is, it's incrementally growing to completely consume us. So in our own lifetimes, I mean, not life, just within the last decade, we have seen, decade and a half, how the online world has gone from, oh, that's fun, that's interesting, I can connect with so and so, to that's becoming our main lives. And it's also this, which I've spoken of previously, this panopticon, by which we constantly watch over each other, especially Muslims. There's the Muslim panopticon is really, I think it's so toxic. Now I think this panopticon phenomenon is spreading to, just, I guess, the broader society under the cancel culture. So people are becoming very weary of what they say, lest they get cancelled now, or maybe in the future they get cancelled. So yeah, that's but I think many Muslims have been living under it for a while, especially in the West. and this whole panopticon, which just governs, it just kind of watches, the all watching eye that just judges each other. So I'm judging you, you're judging him, he's judging her, she's judging them, they're judging them. It's just everybody's under the glance, this kind of riqaba. What they've done is it's tried to embody the almost the divine attribute of ar-raqib. Allah is the one who watches over. But humans trying to embody this concept is just an abysmal failure, because they are not infinitely merciful.